going to do this for every AEW show I'm covering at the moment. CM Punk versus Kenny Omega confirmed.
Yeah, I wasn't sure who I was doing the show with today. I just knew that Luke had a day off because he worked like his little cotton socks off over the weekend. And then I was like, oh, who's it going to be? And I opened YouTube and saw the thumbnail and went, it's Oli. Okay, lovely. Good.
Yeah, I think we might have accidentally broke labor laws. Yeah. Because Luke worked Saturday day, Saturday night, and Sunday day.
I told him to have a little nap. I kept him watered in the bed.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But yes, of course, CM Punk versus the Elite. I can feel it. It's in the air. It's being teased so much. I'm Oli Davis. I'm joined by what's your current name now you are?
Champion. That's what my name is. Thank you very much.
That kind of suggests someone else has
nobody else. It's
an
just
alternate world championship.
No. Well, we could draw a little line through that, and it goes through the H and the A. So laughter is dead. It's a hint. The truth, Dan Layton, your new champion after a highly successful cash-in at a SummerSlam ending that nobody had any particular deep feelings about.
Well, you liked it because it enforced your win.
Yeah, basically that was it. That was the reason I was so high on it.
Please acknowledge your tribal truth, Dan Layton, in the chat.
Yeah, technically I won the Tribal Pete as well. I am Tribal Pete now.
Uh-huh. Oh, what? Really? So
what, in my head?
What's he called now?
He's barely here. He's just Chopper.
Quinnell.
Quinnell.
They've dropped the Austin from his name. It's now just Quinnell. If you haven't already, please press the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below with what you thought of this episode of AEW Collision. And send in those no mega chats, but for how long will that last?
Well, here we go.
To WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one over $5 while we tell you, or I fantasy book, the clues. He's talking to me again.
Right, okay.
This happened earlier this year when he told me he was coming back.
Yeah.
Like not everyone else sees it, but I can see what's happening. Oh, yeah.
Because you've got that special line, haven't you?
He sends me emails.
Yeah. It's a bit irritating.
I'm pretty sure it's from him. Like, I think it would be from something other than the @gmail.com address.
You've not given him your bank details or anything, have you?
What, he needs it?
Oh, he needs it because he needs to be able to fund his storyline.
Yeah. To figure out, to get Ricky Steamboat in to referee matches.
Because he needs the funds.
He doesn't come cheap, Ricky Steamboat.
No, he's one of the most honourable men in the history of wrestling.
I for sure thought that meant he was going to turn heel.
Yeah, well, they were really laying it on thick, weren't they? They were really giving it some. He gave a little hug to JR. JR was back.
That was nice, actually.
Yeah. It was not to bury the lead. What a lovely episode of television this was.
Which opened with FTR versus Big Bill and Brian Cage. Don't worry, we will get into the CMFTR stuff, but this is kind of the first clue that Punk gave me. Blind Eliminator Tag Team Tournament. Everyone's going, well, what a great way to bring Adam Cole and MJF together. Look at that brochacho bromance of the summer we had coming out of that. Big Bill and Brian Cage are freaking awesome.
It's a big old Hoss tag team, isn't it? It's just two big guys doing some big guy tag team stuff. And like the tag team division is a wonderful one, but it's kind of moved away from that. So it's nice to have like the Steiner Brothers, APA, Road Warrior energy of those two together. I like them as a pair.
I'm so impressed with Big Bill.
Yeah.
All the time. I just like, you are not Cass. You're not Big Ass.
Yeah.
You are a different person.
Not even Kaz XL.
It's like when, oh God, that was such a...
That's still his Twitter name. That. So like he'll come out and it'll say Big Bill and then underneath his handle is just @the Kaz XL.
It's like, I don't look at Matt Cardona now and see Zack Ryder.
Yeah.
They are like two distinctly people, which I respect so much. To make your name in WWE, then reinvent yourself outside of it, and arguably be more innovative and successful.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was always innovative, wasn't he? But then, as you say, to do that from outside of...
With Cardona.
Any major company, because he's not part of AEW either. So to still be part of the conversation is how impressive you are.
But yeah, really like Big Bill. He's really got like something in terms of his monster heel trash talking charisma. But really, really good match.
Yeah.
FTR, they put a shift in as always. It was from at least Cash's hometown, I think Greenville, South
they called it FTR County.
Carolina. His mum was in the front row. So of course they won. This isn't WWE where they're going to get beaten. And afterwards, Dax cut a promo where he said, "We have been doing everything. We're the best tag team. We've had that amazing trilogy with the Briscoes, won belts everywhere across the world. There is only one thing missing from our careers, which will declare us unequivocally the greatest tag team in wrestling history. Young Bucks, All In."
Remember when we were all being like, book something for All In? Like, why haven't they booked anything for it? They went, okay. How about this? Like, okay.
You want women's division stuff? I guess Sheeta's got the title now. You happy? You think it's that kind of mentality?
No. I think it's more like, well, why not? We've signed you both to contracts now. Because I think there was a little bit of time where, like, I mean, Dax, especially on the podcast, was being like, who knows where we're going to go? Like, what's our future going to be? And then they doubled down on them being in AEW. They've just re-signed the books. And now it's like, okay, biggest show. It's what do we do? What's our biggest option? And I think this is it for them. I think it's very tasty. We've had what's the score on the doors? Is it 1-1?
It's 1-1.
It's 1-1.
Yeah, this will be the rubber match. This was the match that arguably should have happened last year when the Bucks had the AEW championships and FTR had every other conceivable championships. And you're like, well, that's the feud.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna get. I mean, I love Swerve and Our Glory, but you're gonna do that and the Acclaimed? Okay, sure.
Yeah. Missed trick. But, I mean, the matches we did get, 2 5-star. I think they're both rated at 9.09 and 9.03 on Cage Match was the research I was doing this morning. So very, very well received. So for the biggest... I think for the biggest show in wrestling history, in front of a rabid crowd of Londoners.
Yeah.
Give them this. The 2 best teams in wrestling, tag teams in wrestling, I think. I don't think that's too bold to say.
Oh, I would, like the only other ones are the Usos, and they're not around anymore.
They're not even a thing.
Yeah.
Broken. Dead and gone.
We the twos.
Down since day one-ish, but no longer.
Day one-ish to...
Day one-ish, like...
To
yeah,
20 years.
The t-shirt's going to say day one-ish like to 2023. Yeah.
So yeah, that's very exciting. And like you said... Maybe this didn't get announced beforehand because the Elite hadn't all secured their long-term future. There was well-documented backstage tension between them even before Brawl Out.
And like there was also in all the reports of these re-signings, there has been stuff about it's not just financial terms have been met. There's creative elements to it as well. I think which would lead me to believe they've been sat around the table, they've been heard, and they've found some form of compromise. And ultimately, at the end of the day, business is business. And you want to put on a good card with the best matches possible. That's one of them that should be on there. You know, we'll talk about this a little bit later on. Wembley Stadium is such an interesting example of that point because before a match had even been announced, it was already at like 75,000 tickets. So putting on the biggest card to try and get seats like sold is not in their priorities. So I can understand maybe a little bit of reticence to like book anything specifically, but I'm going and I want the best matches. And so far, I've got confirmed MJF Cole and not confirmed yet, but probably confirmed because they wouldn't do this and then not give it to us. That would be the ultimate heel move, right? I'm quite happy. I'm quite happy.
So you want the matches, of course.
Yeah.
But what about the story?
Go on.
So one thing with FTR and the Bucks, always have great matches, but when you look back, there's actually not much storyline build going into them, which I always think is a shame. I'm as much of a fan of the build as the actual match sometimes. I mean,
it's narrative, isn't it? That's why we watch wrestling. That's wrestling over sport. In sports, even, you're always looking for a narrative. And wrestling has that unique ability to do the narrative side as well, if not better than the sports side.
FTR and Bucks was a match probably 7 years in the making before it first happened. You know, it was being called out for ages.
That's why they're called FTR.
FTR, yeah, F the Revival. And the way I think it was their first match, AEW booked it by the Bucks winning a battle royal, and then you had 4 weeks of not much, and then boom, there's the match.
Yeah,
I was like, oh. Wait, but you've had all this time to book a better story, and you're the Bucks who tend to love long-term storytelling. So I found that confusing. I don't know if we're going to get the same here. We're 3 weeks out now. Technically, they're both on different shows.
Yeah.
FTR are Colliders and the Young Bucks are Dynamos. But when they re-signed on Wednesday, when they made that announcement, the re-signing actually reportedly took place a couple of weeks beforehand. Kenny Omega said, "You'll see us on Dynamite. We can't wait for another 4 years or so of Dynamite, Rampage, Ring of Honor, even Collision." And he knew what he was doing by saying that.
Yeah, he absolutely did. I mean, you can say whatever you want. It doesn't have to come true. But like that one feels like a very pointed thing. You know, they know what they're doing. They know how online we all are. They know that we're going to say some stuff and we're going to read into that. We read into when CM Punk looks down lens, right?
Well, it's because he's talking directly to me.
Your emails. When he's looking down lens, he's talking to all of us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there are many of us. But, you know, he's got that hotline directly to you. But, like, it's something they're not saying it by accident, are they? So, it's... When we get into the Punk stuff later on in the show, this is where I can start to get a little bit like, oh, how is this going to go down? There are so many balls in the air, so many different things. And to your point of long-term storytelling, and then we just got a match, not only is any CMFTR elite stuff money, the biggest stuff in wrestling, I would argue, the most tantalizing thing in wrestling, you don't want to see it go up in flames, and you don't want to see it just happen. These things only come around once in a while. That's why so many people were mad about Cody losing at WrestleMania, because the stars aligned. And it's like, they're so rare in this industry and in this lifetime, really, that the stars aligned for a perfect narrative story. And they did then, and you didn't take it. The same thing happened with the Invasion, I suppose. It's like, we only get one shot at the Invasion, and to many people, you fumbled it. So I don't want that to happen here as well. So I hope that they do give it the proper build that it deserves.
It's a difficult build. Like, obviously, we're talking about FTR Bucks.
That one feels like a chess piece in the build.
Yeah, and the larger build is if CM Punk is going to work with the Elite using FTR as part of his faction. Maybe how that ties in with MJF, because MJF has the championship. Punk's got the Real World's championship. Yeah. MJF, Adam Cole, Bullet Club, Elite. There's a link there. And yeah, within 4 weeks' time, I think we're exactly a year out from All Out.
Oh, God.
So in terms of stars aligning, if there's a time to do it, and Tony loves a date.
He does, yeah.
But the just before you say your bit, none of that story has been told on screen.
This is a very crucial part, and it's actually not even, there's other things not even related to the Elite stuff that happens on this show that hasn't been sold on screen, which I think is a part of Tony's the way he approaches the show.
I don't like that personally.
Neither do I.
You should, put more
what
on
is
screen.
Your ideal end point? Like, where are we going to? Like, what's the final? Because that's where I look at the build and I think about, to give you time to think about the answer to that question. When we look at like Bucks FTR at All In, I see that as a road stop on the journey towards what I feel like is the ultimate climax of this. If you have them all on the same page, in a business sense at the very least, and you're gonna do it, which is Punk Omega Championship. To get there, you need to get through a lot of things. So you need the time to do that and do it well. So then I was looking at the list of places, and I'm like, do you try and do Double or Nothing 2024 in a stadium? Maybe I've jumped ahead of the game a little bit there. But that's where I'm thinking in terms of trying to bring all this into a satisfying narrative.
Yeah, weirdly, well, because the other part of this is later on, just in a match graphic at the end of the House of Black match, it's like, oh, and Riccaboni sounded just as surprised as we were. The match graphic read, next week for the trios titles, it's House of Black versus CM Punk and FTR. Now, I don't think they're going to change the titles. But if they do, you then have the trios titles, the tag team titles, and the Real World title on CMFTR.
Yeah.
And you have the Bucks obviously wanting the tag belts. You have some combination with Hangman Page and Omega wanting the trios. I mean, you've suddenly not just got all those matches, which you can spin off anyway. Punk versus Omega, Punk versus Hangman Page. You can have belts for them as well.
Yeah. then I get into I don't like there being too many belts, but B, I don't.
But the bloodline, it's worked well for the bloodline.
Too many belts in the
in
company.
general.
Yeah, not even necessarily on the same brand, fine. On the same team, fine. But like, I would want. I don't like the real world championship as I like it as a story device. I don't like it as a sanctioned thing.
Yeah, it felt weird when the graphic came up for it. It's like AEW now recognizes this as yet another belt.
It has
It should be a character.
They made a point of saying it has the real world championship in those funny ears. What are they called? Quotation marks.
Inverted commas.
Those. But then they've made a graphic for it with the X on it as well, and I'm like, so which is it? That kind of thing gets on my nerves.
Like the FTW belt.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, which is almost slightly different because it represents. It's not a world championship, really, in the same way that this one is, which has your AEW branding with a cross through it. I'm like, that's where it's a bit confusing. So for me, I want them to resolve that bit so that the world championship can be involved in this picture, in this storyline, because I think it's that level of importance. I think you don't. Again, it's that weird blend, the weird thing about wrestling where you have all the blurred lines of reality and fiction. You have the stuff in universe that we see on screen, but we also know all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes, and it all comes together in one mesh. It's like when Becky got into the Royal Rumble, we know the history of Becky Lynch, and so in that moment, it's all built to her finally getting this spot to win the Royal Rumble. Like, it's not just the storyline stuff; it's everything. It's us insisting that she be a good guy. The same thing is true here, so it's a tricky one.
I used to live off of work shoot stuff because the on-screen WWE product was so bad.
Yeah,
so you just had to make your own fun. But in the last 3 to 4 years, I don't care about shoot stuff anymore. And actually, undoubtedly, when Omega and Punk eventually share a ring, if they do, that's going to be electric.
Yeah.
Like, the whole crowd would be like, oh my God, this is amazing.
We all have that context.
But really, the thing I'm looking forward to as this ultimate end is Punk versus MJF.
Right.
Because that's the best told character-based story I've ever seen in wrestling.
Right.
And it's currently open. You've got both of them have world titles. Punk beat Max the last time they wrestled. That's the story. That's what I want to see this all get to. That's the conclusion of this season of AEW for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Punk should beat Max first, and then Max uber babyface.
That's the way round you want it to go.
Yeah, I did, because that's the way you probably should do it to get multiple matches out of it, and then for Max to make the chase.
Would you like that to happen before or after any Punk Omega business?
I don't know.
Because this is my question. I'm going, where are we leading to?
Yeah.
What is the journey here? Because are we looking at CM? When the graphic came up to show CMFTR versus House of Black, I was like, is Toni drunk or just really excited? I don't know what's going on, but like, cool. I'm looking forward to it very much. But like, we put the belts on them. That feels like, yes, we are going CM versus CMFTR versus Elite. Like, surely, because they're a trio, and what do you do? I don't know. It's like, but so are we doing that at All Out? Like, it's so interesting to have All Out so close because you can't do a build within the space of a week,
and that is the year.
Yes.
Point.
Yeah.
From the. But yeah, Punk.
Do you use that as? Actually, do you use All Out as the propeller to begin this thing if you do want to be that level of like? Or, I mean, there's something that I hate to be the person to say this to you. What if they just don't go anywhere near it? Like, what if they don't?
Honestly, obviously I make a lot of stuff about this because I do find it interesting. But if they don't, I don't massively care. MJF Punk, that's what I want more than anything.
Me too.
But yeah, the All-In announcement of, haven't announced it, but it was pretty much made, of Samoa Joe versus Punk. That's thrown me off a bit.
Yeah.
Because that's a weird stepping stone within all of these bits.
This is what I mean by all of the balls being in the air. Like, to do my little rundown of it, we've got, I wrote a little thingy. So like, the FTR and Bucks is a tasty proposition. It makes sense. FTR on a roll. They've finished their program with the Bullet Club. They've completed their obligation to face the winners of the Blind Eliminator tournament. And now they're just able to do what they want. And they're like, here we are. We've re-signed with the company. We've won these tag titles. We've had match of the year candidate after match of the year candidate. we're in a good place, but we want to make a statement. We've got unfinished business, and we want to finish it on the biggest show in history with the Young Bucks. Challenge late. That makes sense to me. That's all good. Joe and Punk. Joe's got the ROH TV title. He's held it for like something like nearly 500 days. He's defending it roughly once a month. Has a nice time. Shows up on AEW TV. He had a match with Punk a couple of weeks ago in the Owen, which ended clean. And now is challenging Punk. Meanwhile, Punk has got Ricky Starks, and this is a continuing storyline, which had a continuing development and something that I thought was really good at the end of this particular episode of Collision. So he's got that storyline. He's also got the MJF stuff, which hasn't been specifically addressed. He has mentioned it. MJF has said nothing, like not even a reference to it on Dynamite. And then this Joe stuff as well, and then the shadow of Punk versus the Elite everywhere. So he's got so many things. That's what I'm talking about, all of the balls being in the air. Which one are you? I think there needs to be some form of focus.
Yeah.
Or at the very least to say, this is simmering while this is our focus, which is have Max say something. I think really you solved that one by having Max acknowledge it, having them say, when the ref held up the Real World Championship, that is another example of this being a legitimate belt. Don't have the ref do that. Don't have Punk's belt be legitimate in any way, shape, or form. We stripped him of this title. He was not the champion. It makes you look like a div.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's a really good point. That was a sort of disciplinary measure.
Yeah.
And
I said it on the show last week, the Elite had to win their belts back. And they did it in a very honorable way. You could have that be a very cool heel thing to be like, I was stripped of this. It was not my fault that I was stripped of this, so I'm keeping it. Have them reference that he's got it, but of course that's not the World Championship. He's not the world. He was stripped of it by the company. That allows it to simmer nicely while you do this program with Ricky, while you do a little bit with Joe, to come back to a little bit later. But at the moment, it all exists in one mesh, and I don't really know how to focus that in so that we can get what we're after, which is the Elite stuff.
Let's see what you all think on the no mega chats. Mr. Higglesby says, so people talked about the X on the belt being just an X or a shot at the Elite, but people forget Jeff Jarrett is at the company, so clearly it's the X Division belt. Of you all, and congrats to Dan for winning the belt, much deserved.
I agree.
Of course it's the X Division.
Yeah.
Sammy Boy, I like Cole versus MJF, but it doesn't feel all in main event level. I feel like they should have done the MJF Punk match. They could have made Owen Cup their version of the G1's crown a contender for All In, have Punk defend his belt every match, then unify them.
I like Cole MJF. I think they've done some brilliant work. And I actually find the idea of you deserve the match that was laid down on Dynamite.
Lovely.
It was a great moment. And it really made it feel special and important. And the thing about Wembley, the thing about Wembley Stadium, not Arena, Stadium, the thing about All In as the name of the show is they're betting on themselves. The original All In was that whole idea of like, oh, you don't think this can happen? We'll make it happen. And they haven't done it since.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So for them to go, we're going to do Wembley Stadium. There you go. And you think we can't do it? I bet we can. And they've shown that they absolutely can. They're really going all in on themselves. So to have the main event of that be Adam Cole, who does have WWE history, but was never, I don't think of him as a WWE guy. I think of him as an NXT guy, but also, crucially, an ROH guy, right? And MJF, homegrown world champion talent, to be that main event of that big show, that's a big statement. I think they deserve it. I think they've worked really hard, and I think the story they've told has been really emotionally satisfying. Put it at the top of the card. I think good for them. I agree that MJF Punk for me is that's I'm the same as you. That's the story I want because I think that's compelling. Now that you've shown us you can do an all-in at Wembley Stadium, the question on some of the more negative Nancy's on the internet is, well, could you do that in America where your attendances have been lower? So in that case, you save your big money matches, your Punk MJF, your Punk Omegas, for Double or Nothing 2024, where you, instead of doing it in the MGM Grand or wherever they've been doing it, you do it at the Allegiant Stadium. still in Vegas, still the whole thing, but we can sell out a stadium in the US. I firmly believe if you book it, they will come. They have money matches that they could build to. I think it would make more of a statement to save something like that to do it on home turf.
And you could literally double or nothing. So, say 80,000 tickets for Wembley, 160,000.
Can they fill that many people in the Allegiant? I don't know.
I think that's way
Some
above
people in the car
any
park
capacity.
as well. Well, with that attitude, if you just find a field somewhere
Everyone
in Montana.
on each other's laps.
Yeah.
Mayor of Painesville, Dan. Hello, Ollie. Hello, other Dan. All in his closing M. Soon I will be making yet another trip to the most beautiful, most efficient, and most fun city in the world, London. Collision keeps the hype for that show quite well. All I need is a Dustin Rhodes match.
I agree, it is the best city in the world, and I also would like a Dustin Rhodes match. I like Dustin Rhodes too.
Well, hopefully we'll see Dan when he comes over.
Yeah.
Justin Reed, Memberg for 5 months. CMFTR versus Elite could have the trios or tag titles, but MJF needs to beat Punk or his reign becomes another interim reign that doesn't matter.
It is tricky because, as we've said a couple of times, he's, by virtue of the spot on the card, because of the nature of Blood and Guts and the nature of Anarchy in the Arena, he has been upper mid-card with that belt for the past few pay-per-views.
Ooh.
I don't think he's that.
The Bryan Danielson match?
I'm talking about the past couple
that's
of
Revolution,
months. That one, I agree. I think that was, I mean, it was unreal. Like, and that showed me that MJF is the big guy, and the brass band, like all of it, everything he did was so great. I think positionally on the card, he has been posted less than the Elite and the BCC. And I think that's a shame for him and a bit of a disservice, because I think the work he's done is main event. So it's another thing where it's like, I think if you put him back at the top of the card, as they have done with All In, as they have done with the Adam Cole storyline, I think that's what's going to stop it from feeling interim.
Yeah.
Give him that feud with CM Punk. He's got, no pun intended, the truth on his side. That's what makes him not feel interim. Do you know what I mean?
Laxim Narasimhan B, Memberg for 22 months. One of my favorite recent wrestling comments online, Christian Cage, did you win this belt? That's Cage's own daughter.
I love that.
And Christian said, did you?
Yeah, that's so
great.
Good.
And this was missed from the SummerSlam review. Eric Metzloff says, also, as the comments section resident, Tegan Knox stan, my heart is broken that she's nowhere near either of these titles. All I want is for her to have her moment in the sun. Thanks for the awesome review. You too.
We will talk about the women's division on this show, which I think did some good, but also there was some nonsense as well.
What more do you want? She'd have got the title. Jeez.
In the main event.
It was a main event.
It was fitting.
That was like 5 days ago.
That's it. We don't have to do any more until October. I'm also a Tegan Knox fan, and that's homegrown. I would like to see, but it's creating the opportunity. And there are some people, unfortunately, who are there to fill up the roster and pad out. Someone's got to be on main event.
Yeah.
You know.
Please keep sending in your no mega chats, WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one over $5 before the end of the show. Or in the case of that SummerSlam chat that was missed, in 2 days' time. While we crack on with the play-by-play of Collision, of course, we've already covered the opening tag, which was great.
We have, but I missed a joke I wrote, and I'd like to give it to you.
Please do.
First of all, I want to put over we talked about the Big Hoss tag team. Big Bill's chokeslam from on Cash on Dax. Great. Then there was the moment where Cage has Dax on his shoulders, catches Cash. That stuff was great. Again, that's I said it was a big Saturday for mums in wrestling. We had Michelle on SummerSlam, and here we had Mama Cash.
Oh, because and from the Mums and the Papas.
Mama Cash.
Much funnier was the Bang Bang Gang.
Oh God.
They're my favorite faction.
Do you really love it?
I love them so much.
Okay.
It's weird to see Juice, who is just pure cocaine, the Ass Boys, who are pure ass.
Yeah.
And Jay White, the coolest mofo just in the middle.
Yeah. It's very much...
And he's so calm and collected.
Pure cocaine, pure ass. It's very much the Wolf of Wall Street energy, isn't it? I don't love them. I love them in the ring. but when they're not in the ring, they're making more noise, and that is a bit of a sensory overload for me. So I'm like, oh, thank God Jay's here. It's a little bit of calm.
Cutout Jay.
That I do find that funny, and I did like that someone took it out, and then it turned out it was actual Jay. That was very entertaining.
Yeah, because this was backstage with Toni Schiavone.
Big TS.
And yeah, originally it's just the Jay cardboard cutout from last week when Jay wasn't around. He's talking to the cardboard cutout with Juice, and then Jay runs in. I think he punches his own cardboard cutout.
He fully clotheslined his own, yeah.
Which I felt sympathy for the cardboard cutout.
Well, it was a big feature last week.
And Juice was like, no.
Yeah.
And then at the end of this little bit, you've got the Ass Boys in there too. They all do the finger points at Toni Schiavone.
He joined in.
And you can see this cardboard.
I didn't see that. Did it happen? That's so funny.
There was a cardboard finger gun.
Look, they're really annoying, but that's quite funny.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
Mercedes Martinez took on Chris Statlander, TBS title stuff. Was it for the title?
It was for the title.
I didn't care. And Chris was worked over for the whole match, I think.
Yes.
Went through a commercial break. So it was, I mean, I watched all of it, but I imagine only about 3-4 minutes were on screen. And then Chris just won at the end with a bridging suplex pin, but she never really fully did the bridge herself.
Mercedes did get her shoulders up.
Oh yeah,
well.
so yeah, because she was
an actual
complaining.
part of the match, but she did. So,
and then so Chris Statlander wins. Kind of another unimpressive title defense.
Yeah, this was the best women's match on Collision so far, which I know is saying precisely nothing, but I do think it is important to give credit. Well, while also calling out other stuff. I'm like, okay, you made it a title match. You gave it stakes. You gave them... They did some good work. Mercedes did... I mean, them doing the work is not the question. It's not the problem. We know they can do the good work. That
upwards
top
of 5
rope
minutes.
German suplex was... Did you see... Do you remember where she nearly pulled her up? It was so great. But yeah, and they were doing some countering. They were adapting to each other's counters. I liked the work. Timing-wise, again, picture-in-picture, which doesn't help
count.
Anybody. Doesn't count at all. Yeah, that's a bit of a shame. And then we had a beat down and a run in for the second week in a row, and that got on my nerves a little bit because do you know who did the run in?
Diamante.
Tell me about Diamante.
Oh right, okay. What did Diamante?
Tell me all about Diamante. When was she last on telly?
When was she last on a Dynamite? I want to say, and could you get on Cage Match just to see if I can get this?
Exactly when it was.
Oh right, have you already done it?
I can't tell you the exact date, but I will if you want me to.
So we're talking an actual TV. She hasn't been on Collision, so Dynamite. Maybe she was on a Rampage. Are we counting Rampage?
Nope.
I'm gonna say she was last on an episode of Dynamite. In front of fans, and I'm going to say, no, I'm going to go back. I'm going to say November 2021.
So she lost to Jade on Rampage in September 2022. She was last on an episode of Dynamite in 2020.
Oh!
Yeah.
I was a year out.
You were a year out. She has wrestled very recently. She wrestled on ROH to take on Athena for the World Championship, and she was told by Athena she lost, and Athena was like, you need to step your game up. Go and find that thing in you that's missing. And this, I assume, is a follow-on from that. But as we talked about earlier on with Tony Khan, we don't all watch every show ever, and we're not all online with everything ever. That's a mistake, as far as I'm concerned. To just have this person come out, didn't really get any info about this person, and if you haven't watched it in a long time, who are you to know why this should matter? And then Willow comes and makes a save, which is wonderful because I love Willow, and Willow gets to be on telly. But do you remember when we did the Double or Nothing review and Statlander won the belt off Jade? And I was really annoyed about it because
I liked it.
You liked it. I was annoyed about it specifically because Jade had this massively long run and then lost the belt. And why couldn't that have been a match on Collision? You had the Collision debut coming up. Why couldn't that have been something? Why couldn't it have been given effort? Why couldn't it have been given a spotlight, a showcase in some way? What they've done with the TBS title since taking it off Jade means that is a piece of tin that nobody cares about. And that's what's annoying. So thank you for giving us a match with stakes. Thank you for trying to put more people on TV, give people more angles. Gonna need some more now.
Yeah. I think, that's a good point. We haven't spoken about that since Double or Nothing.
That was a undefeated streak that went for a long old time. And you haven't spoken about it since.
I stand by the moment happening, but that was sort of predicated on what's the follow-up going to be.
Yeah, completely.
Make a star out of Chris Statlander. This Taya Valkyrie thing, what's going to happen there?
Yeah.
And then, of course, Taya was just fed to Britt Baker for no reason recently. And Chris hasn't really done much with the TBS title. Oh, well. Yeah. I did enjoy Toni Storm's performance backstage.
Full on Norma Desmond, Little Lamont stuff. Yeah.
She was talking to Shivani, just says she feels naked without the belt because, of course, she lost it on Wednesday against Shida. Really good performance.
Yeah, really great. Yeah. And I liked, first of all, I liked the whole thing of like, why is she there? Why has she got rollers on and why is she in a robe? What purpose were you? Why were you at work that day? What were you doing? But fine. But I liked, if this is them moving away from the Outcasts, because...
Yeah, they weren't there with her.
They weren't there. There was no Outcast Toni Storm. She didn't have the green anywhere. She just looked a bit disheveled. If this is giving her something else, if it's turning her into that sort of like Hollywood star complaining about stuff, I'm kind of for that because it's not the Outcast's fault with Hayter getting injured. That storyline kind of has gone a little bit nowhere. A little bit of flavor and a great performance. So I really liked it.
Samoa Joe came out next. Serpentico's already in the ring, so
got a goober.
Not looking good for him.
Nope.
But I was shocked at how not good it was for him. Joe, he hit one move, but then very quickly put him in the Coquina clutch, and it was a straight tap.
The whole show we'd been promoted Samoa Joe in action, and I would argue he was in no action.
Riccaboni, who I'm really enjoying.
Yeah.
I hate that I'm saying that. Not anything to do, I think Riccaboni's great.
Because you want Kevin Kelly back.
I want Kevin Kelly. I don't want to be in a position where I'm going to miss Riccaboni.
Yeah.
Because you can't have Kevin Kelly and Riccaboni.
No, and because they sound very similar.
Yeah, they're both play-by-plays.
Yeah.
But yeah, Joe won what was apparently the quickest match in Collision history so far. And then that's when Joe grabs the mic, never says CM Punk by name, but talks about, does everything else
all know.
Best of the best in the world, yada, yada, yada. And he says he wants to fight Punk at All In.
And then he says, I'm coming for you, Punk. So he says it right at the end. Yeah. That's when he saves it. Yeah, like I said earlier on, I do see the argument of, like, we got Punk on free TV and it ended clean. To be honest, never bloody mind. I don't care. I want to watch the match.
Well, the thing that I feel is a missed opportunity there is I was one of the people who wanted Punk to lose. You tell the ring rust story.
In the Owen Hart.
Yeah. Tell the ring rust story. And also, he's never beaten Joe.
Yeah.
So in those first matches, sure, they were 20 years ago, but I think it was Joe won either once or twice, and there was one 60-minute draw. So if Joe wins this time, it's like, I've got your number. Doesn't matter what decade we're in.
Yeah.
And then Punk gets the winner All In.
That's good. That does work. I think I could twist it and sort of say, like, he's cross. What he said was his justification for it was quite strong. You only just got me, and I want this. It's not. It doesn't count. No, it does count, but like it was a roll up. Let's wrestle. Let's go. I can just batter you, and I'll do it in front of 80,000 people. Work.
Andrade got a little vignette of the ladder match from last week. Acclaimed had a sit-down interview with Tony Schiavone, pre-recorded, and they're talking about Billy Gunn. They've got his boots, and they said, yeah, it looks like he's actually retired. He's not really spoken to us since. And he just explained himself saying, I've made you lose twice in trios matches against the House of Black. I'm holding you back. So he's removed himself so the Acclaimed can get back to their winning ways. And they'll be in action in a tag match next week.
They said they're going to take his boots everywhere with them, which I've traveled hand luggage spaces at a premium. I feel like that's they can have one each. They can have one each.
Oh yeah, split it. And you can put stuff inside the boots.
Oh, I suppose so. You could you wrap your gear and then that's true. They also said right at the very end of it, and it's very hard for me to take you seriously when your voice breaks and you get choked up while you say the sentence "scissor me, daddy ass." Like scissor me. That was very funny. I like that. But I mean, do you think this is a real full-on retirement at this stage?
It feels like an angle to me.
That's it. I think it would be a really good retirement to use it as an angle. That's a very Billy Gunn thing to put someone over on the way out, to put the Acclaimed over. and to put House of Black over as well. But it's starting to feel like an angle.
Well, especially because Malachi whispers in Billy Gunn's ear at the end of that match. It was almost like he cast a spell on him.
Right.
So I feel like maybe Billy Gunn does come down after 2-3 weeks of the Acclaimed having matches with the Boots. They're like, oh, he's back. Scissor me, Daddy Ass. Boom. Daddy Ass turns on them.
Oh.
And he's like I don't know, not full House of Black, but Malachi has in some way corrupted him.
I
don't love that idea.
Gonna give him another name, and then I realized it would just I'd be in a lot of trouble, so I won't.
Was it gonna be Ass?
It was gonna be Ass related, but also House of Black related. Maybe it becomes the House of Ass.
The House of Ass. Ass House. What music you listening to? Oh, some of that sweet Ass House music.
I hate it.
Speaking of, we got the House of Black versus assorted jobbers, Action Andretti, Darius Martin, and Lee Johnson next. They were very good, though. They're very flippy
they've been
boys.
great the past few weeks.
And their great idea for the stipulation, they get to choose a stipulation as his open house concept, which was never really...
They do it when they want it.
No one's grasped the full potential of getting to choose your own rule in a match.
Yeah.
Hey, how about all of the House of Black have to be blindfolded?
Right.
Everyone's like,
Julia Hart's banned from ringside.
Yeah. Oh, we forgot about that until we're in the ring. Julia Hart's banned?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the least threatening person standing across the ring from us.
Would we call her the difference maker? Because I wouldn't. She got a lovely hat on, though. Someone tweeted last week that that Julia Hart's hat was the most interesting piece of headgear in the Andrade House of Black feud, which I completely agree. The mask is great, but that hat, oh boy. I like open house rules as a thing.
It's a good idea.
It's a great concept because it's that idea of like House of Black are at once arrogant and vulnerable. They say like, you can do whatever you go on. You pick a stipulation as well. It's fine. But also that then puts them in a position where they don't know. They've got to overcome it somehow. So it's kind of a nice idea, a mix of both worlds. But you're right, it really hasn't been used to its full potential. Also, this was the second title match of the night where nobody in their right minds is thinking that this is going to see a title change. But gosh, it was fun.
There was a bit near the end where I did pop for a near fall.
Yeah.
Not for like, oh, that was a title change, but oh my God, that was close.
That's a sign of a good match, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. There's also I'm in my knee strike era, I think, because I was every single one of them. I was like, oh yeah, go on. Yeah.
The near fall in particular was it was a 3-headed beast attack, which is great, and then it was like Brody King made the pin, but Andretti, broke that up with a 450 splash onto him. He sort of like had a comeback, but then Brody King cut him off, and then we get the announcement that it's House of Black versus CMFTR next week, out of nowhere,
just in the middle. And earlier on, Ian had said that Andretti during the commercial break was desperately trying to get a tag. And I watched that particular commercial break. Let me tell you, he did not try and get a tag even one time. So I was being gaslit. So when this graphic came up, I'm like, I still don't know if I believe you, Ian. I still don't know if this is true.
Do you think Ian's only talking to you sometimes?
To
screw with you.
Yeah, you get emails from CM Punk. I get them from Ian Riccaboni.
Hey, guess what's on next week's show? It's Kenny Omega versus CM Punk.
I can't wait to
is
tell
it
Ollie.
Ian? Powerhouse Hobbs backstage said he doesn't need QT Marshall's help. Took QT's present of a gold chain, just took it away with him.
We were talking about this on the way down. The show is very sort of throwback and simple and does its job, and I think it's fresh and effective for that. This is very like Saturday Night Main Event.
I love Collision as a viewing experience. Yeah. It's quite difficult to talk about in a podcast breakdown way.
There's not a lot of story developments, but it's good.
Christian had a promo backstage, not just with Luchasaurus, not just with his TNT title, but also that girl from the Jungle Boy spot on Dynamite.
Yeah, which was a brilliant little spot I enjoyed very much.
Because it's Christian's daughter.
Do we think it's his actual child?
Apparently so.
Great.
Is Jack Perry actually coming back into the fold?
Right. Oh. Well, he's heel now, isn't he? He could do. He's got previous. He knows that this child can defend itself. So, I'm going to
Or can you imagine just, the heat that Jack Perry would get, you're my real father now.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, that's so
But I tell you what,
awful.
I also really like, imagine if that child had got on the receiving end of something by accident from Rob Van Dam. Based on this promo, could you imagine a little Van Terminator on Christian's daughter?
One of the big leaps from the top rope into the crowd.
Just Perry's just like, no, thank you. I feel like based on this promo, Christian wouldn't mind because he really bantered his child off. It was so good.
Yeah, his daughter sort of said, "Can I hold the belt now?"
Yeah.
And Christian's like, "No, you didn't win it."
Specifically, he just looked at her and went, "Did you win this belt?" Which is like great parenting. Really teach your child that it's only if you win a belt do you get to hold it.
And he didn't even win it, did he?
He won it for Luchasaurus.
Yeah, good point.
Thank you.
And then he told her to go away, stand with her mother, and then shouted for security to escort her from the
Because she didn't have the proper credentials. This is goated stuff.
Brilliant. Then we got Metalik versus Jay White. The Bang Bang Gang are out in full force.
They're on commentary
because
as well.
Ass Boys are on commentary. They brought their own headsets. Hug Nigel McGuinness. Cardboard cutouts with them as well. Juice is just cocaine at ringside. It's just pure embodied cocaine.
Just at one point, Metalik's on the ground and he screams at him, like on the floor, like, ah!
I still think he's screaming Ricky. You know, after the Ricky
Right.
Starks, Ricky! I just hear that when he talks.
It's sensory overload time, once again.
Metalik got a good bit of shine near the end. SI moonsault to the outside was beautiful. But Jay White rightfully won the match.
Yeah.
No hassle, Blade Runner.
Good way for him to still be in top form after the program with Bullet Club, or the FTR.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
I love the Bang Bang Gang.
No. I love the work, but I don't love the noise.
We got another crazy announcement of matches. Hardys and Bucks on Wednesday.
Yeah. All right.
And
Just
Lucha Bros
drop
versus the Blackpool Combat Club.
Yeah.
Great. Anna Jay and Shida will also be having a match. Anna Jay put over that Shida was actually her first ever opponent in AEW, which is interesting.
She was a rookie for a whole year.
And the main event was CM Punk versus Ricky Starks. Long match, good, but it felt like a good 20-minute main event style match with Ricky Steamboat coming out to Game of Thrones graphics on his Tron.
That's true. It was that.
I was like, is this? I know House of Dragon is a thing, but this feels like 8
Ricky
years
Dracarys
ago.
Steamboat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they also do Winter is Coming. So Tony Khan is a massive throne stan.
And Succession as well, apparently.
Ricky Stark.
Oh yeah. Jim Ross was also back here. I didn't realize how much I missed him.
Yeah,
he came out for the main event.
Yeah, really nice, and he was on really good form. And he had obviously struggled on the first time he was on Collision because of the fall that he'd had, and he's always had a bit kind of an up and down experience. I think on a lot of it becomes a little bit of a shame to see the old dog.
He gets grumpy.
Yeah,
yeah.
He was in good form tonight, and it was really nice to see.
And Steamboat, when he made his entrance, walked around, hugged JR. Yeah. And I thought, you are so turning heels.
Yeah, now you said it. I'm like, they really did feed it.
But it was also really nice. Yeah. It was a really nice moment.
Turns out some things can just be wholesome.
Starks comes down. He's a heel, I'd say. I'd say he's a 90% heel.
Yeah.
And then Punk comes out. That is a split crowd.
For CM Punk?
That was... I mean, it sounded like more boos to me than it did cheers, but boos are louder than cheers in general. And then when the lyrics kicked in, they did start singing along. He did the "It's" and everyone screamed "clobber in time."
It was because when Roman Reigns comes out, we all put our hands up. We enjoy that. We like being involved.
Rick Barney called Punk controversial.
It's casual.
Which is the Cena line back in the day.
What did he say that a lot?
Yeah, it's like, oh, is it getting a controversial reaction?
You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become Super Cena.
Well, that's what I really hope they start to lean into.
Yeah.
The Punk, through his own, dickish actions backstage, has got himself into a position where he is 2010, 2011 Cena reactions.
That's interesting. Because I mean, we'd had JR saying like he's the champ till somebody beats him, all the stuff we talked about, the ref holding the belt, the sort of they're trying to have their cake and eat it too a little bit with this belt. They're sanctioning it. It's not official, but it says it, and they make graphics, and he can defend it. And it's so is it sanctioned or not because they have to sign the matches. So, but like I think it would be effective if they acted as it was completely legitimate. It would lean into that pick your poison thing, because when Punk comes out, you can decide however you want.
Yeah.
He plays into that. Like he is behaving in ways that could be heel, could be face. And so you do what you want, and I really like it. It really works for me.
I like it too, yeah. It does feel a bit like that 2009 several month heel term for Punk in the Hardy feud.
Yeah.
Where he was a lot more overtly heel there, but it was a slow burn of a turn. It was great. I was going to say something about the title. What was it?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Damn.
Do you want to check your emails from CM Punk and see if he...
Was it about tell me?
The legitimacy? Was it about...
Oh, no, you said as soon as someone beats him.
Yeah.
Samoa Joe. Oh, no, he beat Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe that's for the real world title as well.
Maybe. Oh, well, yeah. I'd rather it wasn't, but yeah.
Having Steamboat there as an outside enforcer effectively guarantees a ref bump.
Yes.
And that's what we got. Well, I would say the crowd reactions, by the way, were "Let's go, Ricky, CM Punk,"
which is not Super Cena, is it?
Because that was all "Let's go, Cena. Cena sucks." It was all on one person. This is much better because you're getting over the person you're against. At SummerSlam, it took me by surprise actually. The initial chants for the main event were "Let's go, Roman. Roman sucks." Not "Let's go, Roman. Let's go, Jay."
Or "Let's go, Jay, Roman sucks."
Yeah, and in that moment, I thought, ooh, people aren't cheering for Jay.
Yeah.
They're booing Roman. Maybe Jay isn't the person to win the belt right now. But yeah,
it's really interesting to hear how the crowd responds to give you as a writer or as a booker a cue what is and isn't working. And that's why I think this is working, because it is even.
I really enjoyed the match. I thought it was a great match. Punk's midsection was worked over. He sold that a lot of really good counters, particularly, what was the really good one? The running knee. Punk's patented running knee into the corner.
Yeah.
Ricky powerbomb out the corner.
Oh.
That was good. This is awesome chant. The crowd sounded really great. It feels like a Saturday night crowd, which is different from a Wednesday night. I've got work tomorrow morning.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I can do it. Also, it's kind of carrying on that whole Collision thing of having a great opening match and a great headliner. Yeah, it was good.
Ricky accidentally bumped the referee. Of course he did. Went for the pin with his feet on the ropes. I don't understand why, because he just knocked out the referee.
Well, yes. Finish the match and then we'll talk about it.
And then Ricky the Dragon Steamboat stopped Ricky Starks in that pinning combination. Punk rolled up Starks, and then Steamboat took way too long to get into the ring and then make the count for what's meant to be a surprise roll-up.
Yeah.
I don't think surprise roll-up finishes work if so much time elapses where it is no longer a surprise and you can regain.
Especially when you're lying there and you're wriggling.
Yeah.
And it looks a bit silly. I'm trying to get out of this kick out.
Do you think he just couldn't get on the remote, on the controller? He couldn't get it in the kick out bar.
Yeah.
No.
It was it was a shame. It was a bit clunky, but I liked it as an end because what it then facilitated was something really interesting. Do you want to say that, and then I'll tell you what my whole thought?
Well, what happened after that was Punk got the win, and then Starks pushed Steamboat into Punk. Punk took a bump outside. Stark starts to beat up Steamboat. This is South Carolina. That is sacrilege. And also there's, last time we saw Steamboat really in the ring. No, he never did the Ric Flair retirement match. So it was that Nexus stuff.
Yeah.
And you're always like, oh my God, it could be very bad if he gets injured.
Yeah.
So Ricky
also,
starts
he's one of the most honorable men in the history of pro wrestling.
I don't know if I mentioned that.
No, it was very quiet.
He gets the belt out. He's whipping him. Yeah. People are mega heat for this. And then Punk makes a save and lobs a chair up the ramp. So far, I swear it actually hit Ricky.
Yeah.
As Starks was running away.
Yeah.
I think Starks was walking out and he was like, no, that chair's not going to... Oh my God, it's coming right at me.
Turns out Punk's got some arm strength on him.
Yeah. And that was, good angle to get Punk cheered.
And crucially for me, a real full throttle commitment to Starks' heel now. Because we talked about it when it first happened, that maybe it was like is it heely, or is it just, he took the opportunity, then he did it again. And what happened here was you had him go for a thoroughly foolish use the ropes, because not only was the ref down, there was an enforcer on the outside to make sure that you didn't do this, but it's worked for him a few times, so he's doing it again. And Ian is on commentary saying, like, if you want to win, don't cheat. And which is kind of this whole thing of, like, maybe he was a young, he got excited by winning the Owen, like, it's really given him this inflated sense of self, and he's still cheating, and he's a little bit, and Ian's like, here's a cautionary tale, here's a lesson to learn. Cheating doesn't work, trust in yourself. And then the response to that was, no, I'm going to take Ricky Steamboat's own belt and I'm going to whip the ever-living crap out of him, which is the most heel thing that you could possibly do. It was vicious. And then he goes up the ramp and he's wearing it around his neck like a chain. And it was a real commitment to going full dick, right? Good for him.
He went full dick.
He went full dick. So I really liked it as an angle. Not only
all in on the dick.
You said it, not me. Yeah, like to have, as you say, Punk get some good, babyface material to add to his I've been a babyface in the past. I'm continuing to draw this line, pick your poison. But you don't get to pick your poison on Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks is full heel. I think that's really effective.
I think Ricky Starks is best as a heel. I think he's great at it. So yeah, looking forward to Ricky. I think the CM Punk stuff is bubbling away nicely as well. Like you said earlier, though, be nice to get a bit more focus and direction as opposed to all these things that might happen or Samoa Joe call-outs.
It's a really weird thing to have this problem when you know this stuff is on the calendar for a really long time. To have all of these potential storylines for one person.
Overall, I'll probably give this show 73%.
We all have our own rating now. You got your percentages. Luke has his stars. I've decided to just go with a basic thumbs up.
Cool.
Thumbs up, mid, down. If it's really good, I'll give it 2. This was a thumbs up.
The Roger Ebert.
Yeah, big time.
Okay. Before we get into our remaining No Mega chats, let's say a big thank you to our wonderful Pledgehammers on Patreon. Yes, you can share mine if you want.
No, I get it. You do the launch bit.
Go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk, where you can get your own shout-outs on this very show and a wrestling nickname, along with loads of exclusive content, like mine and Luke's WrestleTalk Extra series, where we review classic pay-per-views.
What's this month?
Oh, I can't remember. I don't think it's going to be Hard Justice, though, which is what we were rooting for.
The TNA trifecta.
But thank you very much to the $100 man, CD Horver.
To Double L, Liam Leonard.
Have an argy-bargy, margy-pargy.
The Mat Man, Matthew Allen.
Superkick, Nick Mazesco.
Abominable, Michael Abbott.
I don't know why I was clapping.
No,
I've just stopped that.
I think it's important that we did.
Ryan Disco Stewart.
Thomas, the prize hooker, Solazano.
Where there's a Will, there's a Will Campbell.
He can last Sean for longer than you in
Starbucks.
The ring. Not finished. In the ring.
Starbucks Stephen Costa. I've met him.
Shield Maiden, the Zornice.
Thank you very much, everybody there. Let's have a look at our final No Mega chats. Bizarro Big L says, I don't think Cole or MJF is going to turn All In. I think Roddy Strong is in the kingdom now, and he is pissed. And going forward, I have a feeling AEW is bringing in MJF's buddy to even the odds. The new dynasty with Richard Holiday. Hashtag Blimphausen Allen.
All In. Blimphausen All In. It's a hard one to read.
I thought it was like Darby Allin.
Yeah. No, yeah, it could be.
Darby should be doing so. He should be like this. This show is named after me.
He's right.
I'm
there.
Darby All In. It's not really his character.
I'm with you. I posted a little thread of I like that it's basically turning into a detective story in real time. It's like who's going to be the one to do it in which room with what weapon, who's going to turn on who. And I like the idea that actually it's Roddy is pissed because your mate ditched you for someone else and you weren't supported. I like that. That works for me.
Nick Smith. Does CM Punk cost Adam Cole the match at All In? Solidifies his heel turn, sets up feud with MJF to unify belts, keeps Cole and MJF friends. Maybe he does it because he knows he can beat MJF and would rather face him than Cole. Oh, I don't like that at all, I'm afraid.
That's a very polite way of saying stop it. Why not?
Because I think you don't want to undermine anyone. by saying, I want to face you, the world champion, because you're easier to beat than this guy. I don't think Punk should be involved in that storyline at this stage. I think MJF and Cole should be a face versus face, show of respect, better man wins story by the end. I don't really want any shenanigans there.
I agree with you. I think for me, the second someone beats Punk or Cole for the title that isn't, sorry, Punk or MJF for the title that isn't either of them, it's over.
Yeah.
Right? The storyline here is MJF is the person who became champion after Punk was stripped of the belt. Punk thinks he was unfairly stripped of the belt. No one beat me, so I'm still the champion. I left with this belt. It's still mine. You've got a different one because you've got a different strap on it. The second either of them no longer holds the belt, even if they get it back, that storyline is over. So leave it be.
Meeson. I think it would be it would have made more sense if MJF says to Cole, I will give you your title shot after I beat Punk at All In. Cole could then accidentally cost MJF for the title, leading to a triple threat at All Out, where Cole and MJF clothesline Punk for an MJF win.
I mean, that's a nice idea, the clothesline in a triple threat, but then you wouldn't let MJF win it. Like, if you're Adam Cole. Like, so that's an interesting wrinkle storyline-wise as well.
Yeah, I think MJF and Cole is its own thing. I would add in CM Punk later.
And that's what I'm talking about, having it simmer elsewhere, especially if they're on different shows. Like, if MJF never really shows up on Collision, you have them mention each other without ever crossing paths.
WH. I like that MJF has yet to acknowledge Punk. It mirrors Punk's initial refusal to acknowledge MJF when he first came to AEW. That's a great point. His direct quote was, the last thing I wanted to do was feed your rotten little ego. And MJF will 100% throw that back at him.
That is the first thing I've read or heard that makes me go, yeah, all right. Yeah, I like that. Ever in my life, about specifically MJF not saying anything. Yeah.
Lilazy, do you guys think if Jade came back at either All In or All Out, would give the women's division a spark?
No. I don't think because I don't think it got a spark when she lost the belt. I think who it's not, once again, it's not the talent. The talent is there in abundance. The talent, I mean, we had Willow and Athena at ROH in the main event, and they did a great job. The talent themselves are great. It's the booking. Yeah. It's the people who put the matches together, who write the storylines, who see the women's division as a mild attraction alongside a cruiserweight match or whatever. It's like, oh, you got to have your women's match in there, rather than seeing them as just a thing to put in the show to compete on their own merit. Adding and taking away from the roster isn't the problem. So, yeah.
Elm Termez seems to have another very cryptic long chat, but thank you very much for the donation now. I'll read it out. OMGs, the WrestleTalk. Thank you so much for talking the wrestler. I am in the walls. And Mod says it gets weirder from here. Just waking up in the morning, gotta thank God. I don't know, but today seems kind of odd. No barking from the dog, no smog. A mama cooked a breakfast with no hog. I got my grub on, but didn't pig out. Finally got a call from a girl. I want to, hooked it up for later as I hit the do, thinking, will I live another 24? Happy Monday's WrestleTalk, watching live from... How do you like in your pasta? I'm at like it with the sun-dried tomato and mushroom on VHS.
Well, that don't make no kind of sense, but it sure was entertaining.
Yes. And Liam Leonard, member for 23 months in a row now, Double L. Some big matches for All In, can't wait for it. Hope you two have been well. Jam that jam. Thank you very much, Liam. We have been.
Jam your jam.
Yes. Well, thanks very much, everybody, for watching here today. I've been Ollie Davis. That's been Dan Layton. Go and watch the WrestleTalk News channel.
Check the poll.
For thank you. Oh, Jenna shouts at me if I forget the
There's
poll.
even a big, in red, it says check the final poll.
The overall Collision rating is 2% thumbs down. That's nothing. 11% mid. And 85% thumbs up.
Yeah.
Equating to their maths fans, 98%.
Positive.
Where's the other 2%? No, there's none accounted for.
Oh, this happens a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get over 100%.
Oh, well, thank you very much, everybody. Blah, 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 blah. Subscribe. Hit the credits.
Are you sure? Okay.